Welcome to the Tiger Nexus Podcast, a place where you'll find interviews with content creators and geeks alike. Your host, Tiger, has delved upon the Nexus and found interesting content creators and geeks of all fandoms. This podcast is connected to the Zero Hero Network. And now we dive in with another episode!
Hello everybody and welcome to the Tiger Nexus podcast. I'm your host, Tiger, and today's guest is a big toy collector, massive nerd. His actual TikTok actually says lifelong nerd, so there you go. He fits right in. He has over 1,000 followers on TikTok, which is actually pretty impressive for the short amount of time he's been on there. He does, he builds, he collects. He seems like a really fun dude. Really excited about this. Welcome, Kenshibuilds. Hey, dude, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no worries. So, just first and foremost, what do you collect, and what got you into collecting?
So the main thing I collect is Gundam model kits. Everything from high grade to perfect grade, and then some Chinese kits. But that's my primary thing, and some Plamo stuff like Evangelion, Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon model kits as well.
See, I'm not huge into Gundam. I know of it, but I do like watching people like actually build the kits and things. And yeah, I've scrolled through TikTok and stuff, and some of these builds look really awesome. How long does it take you to actually do a build? Let's say you sit down, you got some time. How long are we talking?
So if I'm doing like a speed run of it, just like start to end, excuse me. Let's say a high grade. A high grade will take me about 2 hours nonstop. Real grade can take me up to like 4 or 5 hours. Master grade, depending on the complexity of that exact kit, can take me about 7 hours, 8 hours, and then you got like perfect grades that take like even like a couple days to a week.
Wow, damn that. All I'm gonna say is that is dedication.
Yeah,
That is dedication, bro.
it can get tough. I will it's been a while since I've done just like a straight build through. Like, what I'll be doing on my TikTok, like I'll go live a lot. So like, I'll go live, build for a couple hours, like let's say 2 hours, talking to like my community, and just like doing like a couple, maybe like a left arm, right arm, and maybe the body, and then stop, and then the next day I'll continue.
So what's it been like? You mentioned that you talk to community whilst you're building. What's it like actually having just a little community that actually enjoys you building and you can talk to people and stuff? What's that been like?
It's actually really cool. Like, I think it's awesome having to talk to people who have the same interest or common interests, like Plamo stuff, model kits, figures, people who are getting into the community who are just started and like, hey, what's that? Like, oh, this is exactly what it is, and this is why I love doing it. And we're growing together. Like I have like my following, and I talk to the same people, and they even come to me for advice. And then I have my friend builders who I talk to, and if you ever see me go live, like I'll go live with them, and we'll build together. It's just a super good community. It's not toxic, which I really like. We're all here to help each other grow and build.
Yeah, see, that's one of my favorite things about doing this sort of thing. Again, I also go live on TikTok sometimes. I just sit and I geek out with people, and I've got a couple people that will join in and we'll talk about Power Rangers or Ben 10 or Marvel and DC. And yeah, okay, sometimes there's some people, that can be a bit air quotes negative, but it's just a fun time. It's nice to have, a community that is sharing the same sort of, interests and stuff, especially where, you may be surrounded people who don't aren't geeks or aren't nerds and things like this, so it's nice to like have that kind of community building up, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Just like you're saying, like you have those people who are like, maybe they're like hardcore into like it, and they're like, hey, no, you're doing this wrong, or they kind of try and bring it down. But that's like one in every 20 people, and it's whatever. Like, you kind of just like, hey, I'm just doing my thing, but for the most part, like, the whole community is like, hey, we're all doing the same thing, and we all have our own way of doing it. So, like, you do what's best for you. You make your best fit, and you do it how you want. And it's super cool because I've had tons of encouragement from a lot of other people when I first started off.
Yeah, that's really cool. When it comes to like, going live, building whilst you're live, have you had any like major issues whilst building? Have you ever had like, missing a piece, losing a piece? Have you ever like stressed out whilst live, or so far has your live streams kind of been pretty decent?
Uh, Luckily, knock on wood, it's been super good. Like, my first time ever going live, which was a few months back, was super nerve wracking. My heart was beating. Like, I was like, felt like I was short of breath, just because I'm not used to, like, people seeing me or people like hearing my voice. Especially like, if you've seen my videos, I don't talk in my videos all that much until lately. But like, my other videos are just like pose videos or like speed build videos. So for people to actually like see me like build live, it was super nerve wracking. But once you break that, first and second time of doing it's super easy. It's fun. Um, Again, you start getting the following, the same people that keep coming back and watching you, and just start talking to you and making it a lot easier for you to do it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like, I'll tell a lot of new content creators that, like, it could be nerve wracking, it could be, extremely daunting, maybe quite anxious, but you just gotta be yourself. I think is the best piece of advice I could give anyone, is just be yourself. And like you said, you're doing exactly what you love doing. You're collecting, you're building, and yeah, once you break the wall down, I think it can be quite the experience. And you haven't really been uploading that for that long. When was the first time you actually uploaded on TikTok?
I think the first time I uploaded was in January of this year, actually, I want to say. Um, yeah, funny enough, the way it started, um, is I went to my barber, and my barber is like, "Hey, what do you, him and I are pretty close." He's like, "Hey, what do you do for like your spare time aside from like, like I'm a musician and stuff like that?" He's like, "What else do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, funny enough, I build Gundams." He's like, "What's that?" And we kind of got into it. He's like, "Dude, you should start a TikTok." I was like, "Nah, like that's not really my thing. I don't really go on TikTok, I'm 30, so like I felt like it's always for younger people." He's like,
Yeah.
"No, man, just do it." I was like, "All right, fine." So, sure enough, my wife, who's a little more tech savvy than me, she's like, "Yeah, I'll help you start your TikTok." I was like, "Cool." So January 20th is when I uploaded my first video, and yeah, it actually did really good, and I got a really good following from just that one video, and just from there it kept going.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. That's awesome because, like, January this year and you're already over 1,000. That's actually really good, especially for the fact that, geeks and nerds kind of have a big community on TikTok. There's a lot of people, doing collectibles and talking geeky stuff. And so the fact that you got over 1,000 and just, like, let's call it 9 months, that's
Yeah,
pretty damn good, to be fair, dude. Well done. That's actually really cool.
thank you,
Um,
appreciate it.
so you said that, like, your wife's a bit tech savvy and she helped you out and stuff. So I'm just gonna make the assumption that she's really supportive in what you're doing on TikTok, and you go live and things like that.
She is, yeah. The cool thing is she's like, "Hey, if this makes you happy, do it. Do it with all your heart, though. Don't just half do it. Like, if you're gonna do it. But I totally support you. And, I'm sure you collect. You know how expensive things can be.
Oh yeah,
Figures, yeah, expensive. So Gundams can range from anything from, let's say, $15 to $350, and that's just like your base kits. And then you have like
damn.
specialty kits. Yeah. So, and right now I'm sitting on 15 to 20 kits that I still need to build that are in those ranges. So it's an expensive hobby. So, I don't take that with a grain of salt. Like, I actually put work into it and try to make them look as good as they can, and, put my whole heart into it because this is something I really do enjoy doing.
Yeah, see, I think the reason why I asked that question is because you know I I also like to kind of make the note of that. Us content creators, well, not every single one of them, but My fiance is exactly the same. I have several YouTube channels. I game, I tell stories, I do artwork, I do this podcast, and things like this. And my fiance is always making sure that I remember to edit, or like, I have this bad habit where if I upload a TikTok, I kind of forget to put it on Instagram and like my Facebook and stuff like that. I forget to do it, so like she'll remind me to do that. I've got like a whole bunch of story videos to upload between now and the end of the year, and I have like so many chapters to upload. I couldn't figure out a schedule. I was like, right, so which date do I put to what story? So she was
Right.
like, well, just give me the list and I'll do it. I was like, you sure? And she's like, yeah, just make sure you tell me what's what, and I'll make sure that I date it for you. So she's actually giving me a schedule to follow. So because ADHD brain, I couldn't figure it out.
Super awesome.
Like, my brain just went, what? So she was like, just
Yeah.
do it. But like, I'm recording with you now. I've got 2 more sessions this week, and she's always
Wow.
making sure that like, so obviously there's a time difference between me and you, but my recording on Friday, they're from the UK, so that's literally my time frame. So she was like, well, okay, because there's not a time difference, make sure you're downstairs earlier, because you have enough time and things. So like, she's just making sure that I can do this properly. I'm not, like you said, I'm not half-assing it. I'm not doing this just 50%. She's making sure I can put 100% of my time in. And yeah, having a spouse that kind of does that is actually really cool and really helpful. And yeah, it just makes the relationship a lot better, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. And yeah, I give a lot of respect to my wife for always encouraging me in anything I do. And I have more than one hobby, and she's never said like, "Oh, that's a dumb hobby," or like, "Hey, probably shouldn't do this because it's too much money," or like, "Hey, you're taking too much time away from us." I always make sure to have my schedule accordingly. Work, spend time with the wife. Make sure that she's being loved. Make sure that she's being given her time, and then I'll either do my Gundam building or video games or whatever it is at that moment, and then go to the gym. But I always make sure that she knows that she's number one, before anything else.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, so with me, my fiance works in nurseries, so she works with kids, and so
Okay.
she goes to bed at like 10 p.m. Like she's already upstairs asleep by now, and
wow.
for my time, and so she always says to me, like, well, instead of just sitting there, why don't you make it so you go downstairs the same time I go to bed? I'm like, okay, cool, if you're alright with that. So hence why I'm down in my office recording with you and she's upstairs in bed and things like this.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, so like, I always make sure we hang out and things. My son isn't with me today. I had a child-free day, so we hung out all day, and hence why she was cool with me coming down now and recording with you. So like, yeah, it's as long as you can make that balance,
Exactly.
between your stuff and then what you do with your missus, and then whatever else you've got to do, air quote, work on that stuff, do it. Being a content creator can be a lot of fun and air quote relatively easy.
Yeah.
So just quickly before we go in, you mentioned a little while ago that you're a musician. Can I just
Yes.
bring that up? Define musician, please. I'm curious.
Yeah, so at the ripe age of 13 years old, I picked up my first guitar. I live in California, so a lot of musicians in my area. So I have friends who, hey, let's start a band. I'm like, I don't know nothing about music. They're like, dude, it's okay. So I nagged and nagged and nagged my mom for, God, maybe a whole year until Christmas. I finally got me my first guitar. And this was pre-internet. This was 18 years ago. So internet was still pretty fresh. YouTube was still pretty new. So I didn't really have anything to go off. We didn't have a computer at home. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm just going to have to teach myself. So, learned everything, learned the basics. I would get magazines at the store that had like tablature in the back and just, yeah, taught myself how to play. And I've been in a couple bands. I've done different types of genre music, picked up the bass. Now bass is like probably my main instrument that I play in any bands now.
That's actually really cool. I love talking. I love music. I've always been into music, and I don't know. I kind of like talking to musicians. So when you said that you play music, I was like, hang on, I have to ask you this. So when it comes to all the different types of things that you do, is there like a particular hobby that you think that is a bit that you don't put enough attention to that you'd like to put more attention to? If that makes sense.
No, makes total sense. I'm trying to think of all the hobbies I do. So, as we know, Gunpla, I music. I do disc golf. I like playing disc golf on the weekdays when I'm off or on the weekends. I would say the number one I would like to give more attention to is I like to paint D&D, Dungeons and Dragon miniatures, because I play
Okay.
Dungeons and Dragons myself. And I used to paint all our miniatures, like me and my crew. Like I'm like, hey, go pick up your miniatures and I'll paint them for you, whatever color scheme you guys want. And I used to be really into that, and it's been a few years since I've painted one. Like, I always have the itch to do it, but I just haven't.
Yeah, see, that I think that's the only issue of having lots of hobbies, isn't there? It's like, I write stories and I make them into audio dramas. I play video games. I'm also quite crafty. I like drawing and I customize Funko Pops and things like this. And I think it's actually, I can actually see it. It's in my office. The one thing I miss doing is like customize keyboards. So I have customized keyboards before.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
It's like, so I've only done 2 and they're very basic, but there's a guy that I follow on TikTok who actually customizes keyboards but gets his followers to vote on what key is customizing what, so they're all like quite, he's done one that's all geeky, he's done one that's like different logos for different things and different stuff like that, and I'm watching him constantly. I'm like, I really want to get back into it, but everything else kind of gets in the way.
Yeah, I totally get that. That's funny that you say that, because I've been wanting to customize my keyboard. I don't know into what yet, but I definitely want to customize mine and just see what I can do. I think Billy on our other channel, I think he posted a picture of like a Gundam scaled keyboard, which is really cool, which I kind of want to do.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. I did post a TikTok a little while ago, which actually got quite a lot of views actually, where I said, hey, I want to customize a keyboard. Give me some ideas. And like some people have kind of like made some good suggestions. So I might like start recording it, speeding it up so it's only like a minute long, and then kind of like, doing what they suggested, make the video reply to the comments, and kind of get my community kind of like involved, and maybe that'll give me the drive to actually customize my keyboard.
That'd be really cool. I'd be interested to see how it comes out.
So, going back to your builds and what you're doing on TikTok and stuff, is there any particular build or collectible that you want to get but you just haven't got to the point of collecting it yet?
Oh man, there's so many kits I want. The kits I have now are really good. The kits I have that I'm waiting to build are awesome kits, and I can't wait to build those too. But like I said, there's scales again from high grade to real grade to master grade to perfect grade. Perfect grade's Bandai's like biggest kit. That's the one that's like it's a 160 scale. It's super technical. It's a lot of pieces and parts. So the one I have right now is the Wing Gundam Custom, which excuse me, if you don't, I know you say you don't really know much about Gundam, but I don't know if you ever watched Wing Gundam growing up. But it's one with like the Seraphim wings on it. That one's super cool. But I want to get the RX-78 Unleashed kit and the Unicorn kit, because I'm a huge Unicorn fan.
Yeah, that I now follow you on TikTok. I followed you the other day, and like I've now got my notifications on, so whenever you go live, my phone will tell me, because I'm very curious to sit and like I can join in and have a chat with you, and I'm curious to see you building. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
So when it comes to because you build Gundams and stuff, but you've also mentioned other things like Dragon Ball and Pokemon and like, so what? Okay, I'm not asking you to list every single thing, but like, what other things you dive into other than Gundams and that genre? What other things do you kind of like delve into?
That's honestly, if like for model kits, that's really it. Like I've done like a couple Goku model kits. I've done a couple some Pokemon model kits, and I have a Yu-Gi-Oh! Red, Blue Eyes White Dragon model kit that I still need to do, which I'm really excited to do. I've had it for about
Ooh.
6 months now, and I haven't done it. And it's staring me. It's looking at me right now, like build me, build me. But I just haven't had the time to do it.
So I've only ever done one model kit, and sadly, I no longer have it. But I don't know if you know Digimon at all.
Oh yeah,
But I had a War Greymon model kit. It was only I'd say it was actually pretty big. Yeah, to be fair. But that took me. I had a lot going on, so I couldn't just sit and build it. But that took me a couple of days. But that was actually really cool. There was one finicky, really hard to do piece when it come to his War Greymon's got really big claws. And the way that you had to put the claws in the hands was really awkward. And like apparently to the instructions, it should just clip in, but it didn't want to clip in. I was like, how does this make any sense?
Were they the ball joint type ones where like they have it's like a little ball joint and then you have to put the piece over it?
Yeah.
Yep. Those are the worst.
Okay, I'm glad somebody knows my pain. Glad someone agrees. So you said you've got like a lot of builds, to actually build. When it comes, are they all gonna be like live stream, or do you keep some to yourself and then just make a video when it's actually built?
So, I the ones that like I'm excited for, I'll probably live stream just so people can see me doing it. But the ones that are like smaller, like the high grades, which are not very complex, I'll just do myself and post a video of it. Like the Wing Zero perfect grade that I have, I'm definitely gonna do that live. But I'll probably work on it off live too, just so it doesn't take forever to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw, but I'm building a 135 scale, which is, I mean, you can tell that's a pretty big build, RX-78, and it's about 2 feet tall. And I just finished it, and now I just need to do some stickers on it, and then I'm gonna post a video of it. It's a big boy though.
Fair enough. um, so when it comes to getting into builds, whether it's Gundam or something else, if someone said to you, "How do I get into this? How do I get into building like the way you're doing it and things?" What is there any advice you could give to like the newbies, the people that have no idea what they're doing but are really interested?
Yeah, so my advice is don't get a master grade because master grades are just it's gonna ruin your time doing it because it's a very complex. Start off with a high grade, start off with an entry grade. Make sure to get a $10 pair of nippers, something that you can just cut. Nothing, don't use nail clippers, don't use, home stuff like that. Don't use shears. Just get like a little $10 pair of clippers and just have fun. Just go slow. Do not think, hey, I need to finish this because I spent money on it. Trust me, the slower you go, the more fun you're going to have, the less errors you're going to have. And, if you like it, okay, get a couple other high grades and, start off slow and then go into your real grades and go from there. And be very careful to not cut the actual pieces when you're cutting them out from the gates. Because if you cut that piece, it's going to ruin the build because you're like, wow, I only have one of that piece. Now I don't know what to do from here. I've been in that situation.
Yeah, that's good advice. Do you think when it comes to like the people that make the builds, the manufacturers, whatever you want to call them, do you think they should give people like spare pieces, especially like the smaller, tinier, like more important parts?
I do. Like the piece I think they should always give you two of, and some actually do, which is really cool, is the V fins. Like the fins that go on top of the face that like kind of point out. I have cut so many of those on accident or snapped them from bending them. Like I'm like, oh man, like now I need to glue this and it's gonna look kind of janky. But if they could give you at least two of them, I think that'd be awesome because they do tend to break.
Yeah, I've seen there's this one person that I follow does builds like you, and I can't remember exactly what piece it was, but he's live and he's doing the whole cutting out of the frames like you mentioned, and he cuts literally he snips the actual thing that's holding it, but it snaps the little piece that he needs, and
Mm.
I think the man actually teared up. I'm not gonna lie.
I believe it. I understand his pain.
So when it comes to things that you're a fan of, whether it's video games or whatever, what's the one thing that doesn't have a build that you wish had a build that you could build?
Oh man, that's a great question. Mm, I'm gonna have to come back to you on that one because I'm not 100% sure. Oh, you know what? I lied. Aside from one kit, Power Ranger Megazords. I wish they had more Power Ranger Megazord kits. Like, there is one kit out there right now. They have the original Mighty Morphin Power Ranger kit, and it's a full Megazord where you can build each piece individually, like a model kit. But that's it, and it's like almost $200.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and that's US dollars. So I don't know how much that is in your currency, but that's a lot of money.
Yeah, no, that is a lot of money. See, that's going on a little tangent here for a second. That's always been my issue with Power Rangers. Huge Power Ranger fan. I was born the year of In Space, so like I missed the Zordon era, but I still love it. But that's my only gripe with Power Rangers is, and I understand this, but they always focus on Mighty Morphin. No matter what it is, it's always Mighty Morphin. And I'm like, you do realize there's 30 years worth of content when it comes to Power Rangers. There's
Right.
other things you could do. So you say Megazords. If you could pick like any Megazord from any season to have a build of, you can have like you can have like top 3, top 5. What Megazords would you want there to be builds of?
I would say, aside from the regular OG Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the Thunder Zord would be cool too because I really like the Thunder Megazord. Um, and aside from that, I would say the Wild Force Megazord, the Turbo Megazord, the Ninja Storm Megazord, and the Dino Thunder Megazord.
Wild Force is my favorite season, so I'm glad you said that.
Wild
That's
Force is
really cool.
great. Wild Force is
What?
such a good. Remember the Forever Red episode?
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, mine too. Like, so many people say Wild Force is bad. I'm like, I can see why people may have small gripes with it, but it's a solid season.
I think so
Um,
too.
so I completely agree with all your picks, but I'd have
Mhm.
to add one, and that's the first SPD Megazord.
Oh, yeah, okay, I see that.
The one that's like primarily white. I think that'd be really cool as a build. Like
That would be
watching
cool.
someone build that would be really cool. But yeah, you've got some solid choices there, especially with Dino Thunder and Wild Force because they're very oddly proportioned. With all the animals slash dinosaurs. So that would make
Right.
a very interesting sort of like build as well. But yeah, Power Rangers is lackluster in a lot of stuff. It's a shame that the Lightning Collection got cut short, especially the fact that the last wave they did, kind of like introduced new teams and continued starting other teams and then just stopped. And it's just like, that's just a shame. Do you collect any of the other Power Ranger stuff like Lightning Collection or anything like that?
I don't, and I always do because, like I said, I was a huge Power Rangers fan growing up as a kid. I was a big Green Ranger, White Ranger fan, so I would love to like have like the Dragon Daggers or Dragon Dagger, excuse me. And what's the name of the White Ranger's sword?
Saba.
Saba. Yeah, I would love to have that sword.
Yeah, that would be really cool. So when it comes to collectibles, I've only just started collecting stuff properly because I've only lived in this house for a year. So thankfully, my fiance is fine with it.
Yeah.
So Lightning Collection just started, and I also collect the DC McFarlane figures. Which going back to our, being of our spouses conversation, I went to Comic-Con beginning of August, and someone was selling. I don't know if you know Batman Who Laughs.
Oh yeah.
But So it was a figure of him with 4 Robins because his Robins are all demonic and delusional.
Yeah.
So on Amazon, if you were to buy that, it's about £100. So for you, that's even more money. But in the Comic Con, someone was only selling it for 60. And I pointed it out and I was like, that'd be really cool to have. So my fiance actually pulls out her phone, she checks Amazon, she's like, you're buying that now? I was like, why? And she's like, look. And my jaw dropped. £100 on Amazon, that's ridiculous. And she was like, get it, you're buying that now because I know you want it. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah,
So,
that's super cool.
So yeah, that's a really cool figure. I haven't managed to get out of the box yet, but I just like the fact that he's got 4 and you can also chain them up as well because he keeps them all on leashes because he's a bit of a psychopath. So you can actually like make it look like he's holding them on a leash, which is really cool.
That's super cool. Yeah, I used to be a huge DC fan growing up, reading the comics, watching the shows and stuff, but I kind of fell off of DC. But I was reading the New 52 for a while, which was really good when it first came out.
What made you fall off of DC? Was it DC or just life?
I think a little bit of both. I felt like DC was starting to become a little bit repetitive, which was fine because that's that's their thing as far as like dark and mysterious, and especially Batman and stuff like that. But I think I became more of a Marvel fan as the movies came out. Like when Iron Man 1 first came out, I was like, whoa, an actual good superhero movie, and kind of went that way.
Yeah, so I'm kind of the same. I always fall on the because a lot of people ask me, are you more of a Marvel fan or I'm both. I can't pick one because I like both for different reasons. And I agree with the DC comment. They do get very samey. Some of their like biggest, most popular storylines, once you analyze it, aren't actually that great. But I have kind of more lean towards the newer comics because this year they started a new universe called the Absolute Universe, and the one thing that got me kind of like interested in it is Batman in the Absolute Universe is not a millionaire.
Oh wow.
Bruce Wayne doesn't even have Alfred. He doesn't have a butler. He is just a dude. He's just a normal guy. His suit is getting ripped to shreds right now via the fans because the Bat logo isn't even bat shaped. It's the best way to explain it. It's a square or a rectangle then, but there's like points coming out along the sides and around the corners because it's meant to look like a bat, but he doesn't have the technology or the money to make it look like a bat. And he looks a bit more, I guess the word is realistic, I guess. But I really think cool. I was going to say, I think that's such a clever way to do something new with Batman is the fact that he's not a millionaire. He's just a guy now. And I was like, that's actually kind of clever. I kind of like it. So I'm kind of more leaning towards DC Comics right at the minute. I'm looking forward to see where this goes.
I think that's really cool. Like a different aspect, like how would Batman look or act if he wasn't a millionaire, And
exactly.
That's really awesome.
And going back to you mentioning Iron Man, yeah, I totally agree. Iron Man 1 is such a good movie. I'm actually rewatching the whole MCU with my fiance. She's the only thing that she's geeky about is Disney. That's the only thing that she's like a big fan of. Not into superheroes at all or anything like that. And obviously, my entire family is. There's me, my sister, my mother, and my stepmother. We're all Marvel fans. My best friend's also a huge Marvel geek. And one day she just comes up to me and she's like, would you want to watch the superheroes movies with me? Like, just get... I was like, all right, okay, sure. We start on the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy because that's like my childhood and like I grew up on those films. But she started watching the MCU. We're now on... The next one she's going to watch is Guardians of the Galaxy because we're watching them in order. So she's on Guardians of the Galaxy next. And Iron Man, she's really enjoyed Iron Man 1. And rewatching, I'm sat there thinking, what happened to the Marvel? Marvel used to be so good. I really enjoyed watching Iron Man 1. The scene where Iron Man lands, the tank shoots him and he like dodges the rocket and then he shoots that tiny little one.
Yes.
And then as he's walking, it blows up and the music kicks back in. I was like, oh my god, that's such a good scene.
I agree. It's so good.
So when it comes to Marvel and DC, who's your go-to favorite superheroes / supervillains?
For Marvel, my favorite superhero is Thor. I just love Thor. You know, I'm not saying I'm huge into like Norse mythology or anything like that, but I think I like that they can relate him to an actual like deity from like our realm. And then if you ever watched the first Thor movies, like what you call magic, we call science. You know, I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
You know, like I love that. And in the comics, he was such a badass. Like, you know, he fought giants, he fought all these mythical creatures, he fought his brother. It's like, oh man, this guy is super cool. And aside from Thor, Spider-Man, I'm a huge I mean, who isn't a Spider-Man fan when you're a kid? You know, jumping off walls, pretending like you're
yeah.
shooting webs, like you said earlier. I grew up on the Tobey Maguire movie, so when the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie came out, I think it was 04, 03. My dad took me to go see it in theaters, and my eyes, I remember clearly to this day, my eyes were just wide, like, oh my god, like Spider-Man's real, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. It's actually nice to hear someone else talking to someone who likes Marvel mentioning a different superhero, because if someone, especially when I'm like recording for a podcast, if Marvel gets brought up, I always ask that question, and
Mhm.
it's always the same generic answers. You know, someone from the X-Men, Spider-Man, but no one's ever brought up Thor before. So I have to commend you for the fact that, you actually brought someone else to the table. I really like that. It's really cool. And
Thank you.
I like Thor. I think the only issue I have with the Thor films is that they kind of messed up the whole family sort of thing,
Yeah,
like Hela's his sister and stuff. I was like, that's a bit strange, but okay,
yeah.
sure.
I also don't like
Fine.
the fact that they made him comedic. Like, it's funny. It's funny that he's like jokey like that. But like, if you watch I think it was the last Thor movie, Love and Thunder. I'm like, it's almost borderline cringy. You know, they're like, all right, it's fine. It's okay to be funny, and there's times for comedic relief, but it's just like, stop.
So I have this conversation with my friend, and I've made the comment of, if they made Thor funny, not the movies, just Thor funny, it would
Mhm.
make sense because he loses his mum, his dad, his brother countless of times. He had to kill his sister. Jane, etc. He's lost a lot, and it's just like, the fact that he loses all of this, if he became funny, just Thor, not the whole movie, like, not, don't make the movie comical, but make Thor funny. It'd almost be like a defense mechanism for him. Like,
Yeah,
he doesn't want to
a
deal
coping
with his
mechanism.
bullshit. Yeah, like a coping mechanism. He doesn't want to deal with his bullshit, so he becomes funny. Kind of like Chandler Bing from Friends. He's funny because he doesn't want to deal with his crap. I think that
Right.
would have worked so much better, but sadly, they tried to make a funny Thor film.
Yeah, well, like Ragnarok, I thought was hilarious. Like, I thought the comedic relief was funny. The movie itself was really good. Like, honestly, aside from like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I think Ragnarok was the best last Disney Marvel movie, MCU movie.
So, when it comes to Ragnarok, I think Ragnarok does it absolutely perfectly. They put it such a good borderline between comedic but serious storytelling. Hela comes
Mhm.
up, she destroys Mjolnir just by catching it. That's just a
Yeah.
shock in itself. She wrecks Asgard. Thor's now hammerless. He doesn't know what to do with himself.
Mhm.
Loki's around again, etc., etc. You need to get back to Asgard, and obviously now there's Hulk, which is also really cool to see as well. And it's just like they did such a good balance. But I
Right.
feel with Love and Thunder, they tried to do that balance again, but they tipped the scale too much in the comedy.
Yeah.
Because I really like the idea of Christian Bale being Gore, the God Butcher, and I think he
Mhm.
actually was such a good villain. But
Yeah.
he got overshadowed by all the crap, and it's just like, why have you put such a good villain in a bad film again?
Yeah. I 100% agree with you. It's like I said, it's borderline cringy. And it's just like it wasn't necessary, you know?
I like the way that it ends. I like the fact that he has a daughter of some kind. He has someone to look after now. You know, he's lost everybody. He now has
Right.
someone to. I like that. I like the fact that it ends in a wholesome way. He's now got a motive. He's got a something to live for. You know, that
Right.
isn't just being a hero. I like that for Thor, especially the MCU version. Anyway, I really like that. But yeah, it's just. I don't know. MCU haven't been great. I think Deadpool and Wolverine was good. Very questionable. They made things. There's a lot of questions now. That they don't. They're never gonna answer because it's Marvel.
Right.
You mentioned Guardian Galaxy 3. I cried. That was such a
Oh
good film.
god. So good. So sad. Rocket.
Well, so DC is now being run by James Gunn. He's now the headline for DC movies.
That's what I heard.
And so many people are like concerned and things. I'm starting thinking, but he gave us Guardian Galaxy 1, Guardian Galaxy 3, because he didn't do number 2. But he also gave us the Suicide Squad, which is the better out of the two. I actually enjoyed the Suicide Squad. And so that's 3 superhero movies. And a lot of people are bitching about Superman because that's coming out next year. It's his first film. And there's Superman, Hawkman, Green Lantern. There's quite a few superheroes in it. But that's what James Gunn is good at. Look at Guardians of the Galaxy. We got 3 films. And, okay, the first 2 were about Peter, sure. But you also got, you know, a storyline between Gamora and her sister. The 3rd film, you learn all about Rocket. And he's good at making you introduced to a whole group of characters, but loving each character, you know, wanting to learn more. He's good at that. So I'm actually very psyched for James Gunn ruling over DC for a little while. I think he's gonna do a good job.
Yeah. Look, I'm not opposed to trying the movie out. If it's a good movie, it's a good movie. You know, but if it's not good, then I'm gonna say, hey, I didn't like this movie. Like, I'm sure you watched the Flash movie. I thought it was a turd.
Oh my god, don't get me started on Flash. That no, right, okay, so I love Flash. He's one of my favorite. Barry Allen Flash. He's one of my favorite DC
yes,
characters.
Barry Allen.
You know, I absolutely adore Flash. I think he's great. So many people think he's overpowered, but I just love him. I think he's awesome. And the fact that their first Flash movie was Flashpoint. What the fuck are they doing? Like, that's the one film I had, like, whenever it gets mentioned, nobody wants to talk to me about because I can't say a good thing about it. Because, and by the way, I've never watched it from beginning to end. I couldn't watch it from beginning to end.
Another cringy movie. I will say I do like Michael Keaton coming back as OG Batman because I was a huge Michael Keaton Batman fan. You know, I love those that series of Batman movies. So I was like, hey, Michael Keaton. That was the only saving grace for that whole movie. The CGI, horrible. The acting, horrible. The one thing I tell everyone, DC needs to get away from the slow-mo aspect of everything. Like, we don't need to see everything in real time. We could see it in, you know, regular fighting force time like Marvel does. Like, it's okay. I don't need to see someone getting punched in the face at times 10 slow-mo, you know, like it's okay.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, so I'm one of these people where, and this can be a curse sometimes because everyone asks me all the questions. I'm one of these people that I don't compare the two, but I analyze the comic book and the movie, and I see what they changed, you know, how they, you know, what they fucked up and all this stuff. Just today, I don't know if you've seen him, Cosplay Dude 637. He's my best friend and my business partner. He actually messaged me about Madam Web because he was confused on who the 3 Spider Girls were from Madam Web. So I had to explain that to him. So when it comes to Flashpoint, that is such a big storyline, not for Flash, but for the whole of DC. It's one of the biggest storylines ever. And the way that I explain what Flashpoint should have been is, you know how Captain America Civil War changed the storyline of Marvel? You know, it completely, that film from that point on changed how everything was done. Tony's one side, Captain America's the other. Flashpoint should have been the Civil War for DC. It should have been that film that changed the way the storytelling should have done from that point on. You know, and like, even the Flash TV show didn't do Flashpoint correctly, but at least when they did Flashpoint in the TV show, for 2-3 seasons later, there were things being changed because of it. There were still repercussions of Flashpoint 2 seasons later and things like this. So at least they did that bit right. But yeah, Flashpoint, the movie Flash was, like you said, Michael Keaton was like the only good thing in it.
Right.
Legit. Like, I didn't care for Zod. I could not care. I don't like Man of Steel. I stand on that. I do not like Man of Steel. That's a bad Superman film. But like they brought in Supergirl for Flashpoint, and I'm like, huh, that makes no sense. Like, what? Why is she in this film?
Right. I didn't get that either. I was like, that makes no sense.
Like, yeah, Flash is not a good movie.
I like the animated Flashpoint Paradox. Like, I thought that was pretty decent.
That is actually one of my favorite animated movies. Is the Flashpoint Paradox one? That is actually really cool. And if you ever get a chance to watch Suicide Squad: Hell to Pay, is another animated movie. That's actually the sequel to Reverse Flash's storyline from Flashpoint Paradox.
Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna have to check that out.
I'm really into animated movies, especially DC and Marvel. I think DC actually holds really strong in the animated movie department.
Oh yeah.
I feel like animated stuff they can get a lot done, especially like Across the Spider-Verse for Spider-Man. That's such a good film. They got so well done. But with Suicide Squad: Hell to Pay, Suicide Squad's actually really good. They actually did a really good job executing the Suicide Squad as a team and things like this. The storyline is actually so simplistic but really good. But it literally, the Reverse Flash, it builds off his storyline. It's kind of like the repercussion of Flashpoint Paradox, and it's such a small thing, but it's so good at the same time. And if you've never watched Flashpoint Paradox, you can watch Hell to Pay and be like, all right, okay, cool. But if you have watched Flashpoint Paradox, it's a case of like, oh, I see that. Oh my god, that's such a cool connection, sort of thing. It's really, really well done.
Yeah, no, I really like the Flashpoint Paradox cartoon. Like, I thought it was cool. Like, it was so different, and from what I talked to my buddy at work, who is a huge comic book fan, he said it's pretty spot on to the comics.
Yeah, it is. Yep, yeah. They did obviously miss a couple like story points and things like this because Flashpoint's a big storyline. But yeah, it does stick to the comics pretty damn well, which I was a big fan of. But yeah, when it comes to DC, and Marvel, actually, we've only had one MCU film this year, which is Deadpool and Wolverine. But I'm kind of glad they kind of taken a year break, which wasn't all their fault. But I'm kind of glad they have because they've now been able to push things into perspective. They've all kind of like got their heads on a bit straight. Daredevil Born Again looks really good, which is actually a sequel to Netflix show, which is awesome as well. So I'm really happy about that. Kraven the Hunter, I know that's a Sony movie.
Oh yeah.
That actually looks good now because the funny thing is the first trailer came out last year and that was so bad. That was so terrible, the trailer to that. But they actually said that they saw the backlash from Madam Web and they reshot 70% of the film. They spent the last year reshooting the film. It was meant to come out last October. It was meant to come out August. Now it's coming out in December because of the amount of reshoots they've done. And the newest trailer that came out only a couple of weeks ago looks so good in comparison. I'm actually looking forward to it.
I'm about to go back and I'm about to go watch it because I saw the original one. I was like, oh yeah, it looks like a turd. Looks like Madam Web. So I'm gonna have to go back and watch the new one.
Well, they've actually made it a mature rating, so it's actually going to be gory. It's going to be violent.
Yeah, because he's a gory guy. He's crazy.
Yep, yeah, and like so you watched the first trailer, so you saw the fact that the lion bites him, and like their blood interfuses or some bollocks, and that's how he becomes super strong. Which, by the way, makes no sense. That's not even shown in the new trailer. I think they've scrapped it, which I'm really happy about.
Yeah, no, that's good because from my understanding, Craven was raised to be a hunter. Like, he hunts for fun. He was from a bloodline of the Cravens, which was like, just super powerful, super strong, and they just go out and hunt. Like, the bigger the game, the bigger the reward for them.
So in the comic books, the only time Craven's ever like done anything is he basically makes a super soldier serum esque type thing through herbs and plants, and the only reason why he takes it is because he believes the apex prey, the thing to kill, if you killed it, you are the top dog, is Spider-Man. And he doesn't, he can't match Spider-Man. So he mixes all these herbs and all these like plants and stuff together and drinks it, and it doesn't make him super soldier like, but it basically puts you at peak. So like he's the strongest a normal human can be. His senses is height, and like that's the only thing he's ever done. Which is really cool, which is why the whole lion blood infused thing made no fucking sense.
Well, speaking of Craven and Spider-Man, did you play the Spider-Man 2 game?
Yes, it's one of my favorite superhero games.
So good. I don't think I put that remote down for 10 hours the first time I played it.
Well, I actually play video games and put them on YouTube, so I actually do like game walkthroughs and stuff. And when we're talking like last August or something, so over a year ago now, my Google account got hacked and my YouTube channel got deleted. I had like almost 1,000 subscribers. I had the views as well, so if I got over 1,000, I would have started making money off of it. Blah blah blah. It was so bad. So when I almost quit doing content. I'm not gonna lie to you. I sat here like twiddling my thumbs, but I saw it as an opportunity to restart things, and like I know how to do gameplay better now, and I have a better setup and things like this. So when Spider-Man 2, we found out it's coming out in the October, I was like, I need to record that. So I actually binge recorded number 1 and Miles Morales. So for about 3 months straight, I played Spider-Man. That is it.
Wow.
So like I managed to get through all 3 games. But yeah, Spider-Man 2 is such a good game. I wish there was DLC. There was a planned DLC, but Insomniac got hacked, and so they kind of scrapped a lot of their projects, and the DLC was one of them. But I love the teases for future content, because we've got Carnage, Comedian, and now obviously we know that Norman Osborn is out for Spider-Man, which is all so good. And I was like, oh my god, like we need more.
I would love to see Carnage, because Carnage for Marvel is probably one of my favorite villains, actually. Like, I love how lunatic he is, just how manic he is, and he just like he doesn't care about morals. Even as a villain, he doesn't care about evil morals. He's just like blood. All I want is blood.
Which is why Venom 2, the movie, failed so bad.
Yes, exactly. Oh god, that was such a turd of a movie.
Like, Cletus Cassidy alone could be a Joker. He could be like, he is psychotic. He has been put on death row like 3 times. Things like this. Cletus Cassidy alone is fucked up. Hence why the Carnage symbiote likes him so much, because they are just as effed up as each other.
Exactly. Like in the comics, Venom and Spider-Man had to team up to fight Carnage. Like,
which, talking about Venom and Spider-Man, again, I've also wavered from Marvel, but there's a new Venom storyline going on. The Venom symbiote in the current comics, the symbiote finds Peter Parker, and they actually have a conversation, because Venom isn't deemed a bad guy anymore, especially in the comic books. He's Eddie Brock as Venom has actually been a hero. He's teamed up with Flash Thompson, becoming Agent Venom. He's not a villain. Anti-hero maybe, but not a villain. But now Peter Parker is wearing the Venom symbiote because they're actually working together, and Venom actually says, I'll be a hero with you, but let me work with you again. And they've actually bonded together for the first time in years. And I'm like, oh my god, that is so cool.
That's pretty cool. I like that. Now for MCU, like I know I think it was the end of Endgame, where they show Venom and Eddie Brock at that resort, and they see Peter Parker on TV. I heard like something that they cut that out, like that's no longer going to be like the storyline.
So it's Spider-Man No Way Home, because all of Doctor Strange does a spell, it fucks up, and all the previous Spider-Man villains come from different universes, and they're all after Peter. Peter has to work with Amazing Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and Tobey Maguire, Peter Parker. All three of them have to work together to stop the villains. So the end credit scene for Venom 2, which the actor Tom Hardy actually said before everybody watched it on the red carpet, do not spoil this. We swear to God. Please don't spoil anything, because at the end, there's like they're sat in this like Miami motel or something, and it glitches.
Right.
The whole room changes, and he sees Spider-Man on the TV screen. Now, the end of No Way Home, he's sat at this bar getting pissed, and he's talking to the barkeep, and he's like, hang on, so there's a guy who turns big and green, and the guy's like, yes, he's the Hulk. So he writes that down, and he makes another, and then he glitches away, because obviously at the end of the film, all the villains disappear. So like he vanishes, and it leaves a tiny bit of symbiote behind on the table. But if you watch the Venom 3 trailer, which this is why everyone's a bit confused. In the Venom 3 trailer, there's a guy who walks up to the same bar and he kidnaps the Venom symbiote off the counter. So everyone's like, but that's in the Venom universe. So how is that making sense? Because that symbiote was left in the Marvel MCU universe. So everyone's a bit confused. We're going to have to watch the film to make that make sense. But yeah, apparently they're kind of scrapping that idea. But in a way, I'm kind of glad, because the only way Spider-Man can get the black suit is if, in my eyes, if he actually fought Venom or knew Venom, this Sony Venom, which the reason why I think they scrapped is because they're doing Secret Wars. Avengers 5 is Secret Wars. In the comic books, it's the Secret War event, where he gets the Venom symbiote the second time, because the first time is when he's in space, so they can't do that storyline. But one of the Secret Wars storylines, he does get the symbiote for the second time. So I think because it is the Russo brothers again, which I'm glad they're back, because they gave us 4 fantastic Marvel films. So I have a kind of sneaky suspicion that they're gonna bring in, if not the Sony universe, at least Venom into it, and that's when the Venom symbiote will bond with Peter Parker's Venom, Tom Holland Spider-Man. That's my sneaky suspicion, especially for the fact that Robert Downey Jr. is back as Doctor Doom.
Yeah, how do you feel about that?
Honestly, I'm so pissed. I'm so fucking pissed off for 2 reasons. One, it kind of made me feel a bit, I don't trust Marvel anymore, because they did Kang, and obviously the actor got arrested and all that jazz, which is fair enough. But they're playing with the multiverse, and I've actually made a YouTube video about this. I ranted for about 10 minutes. They could have easily got a new actor, which they were going to do at one point. And all they needed to do was an end credit scene, and a very simple end credit scene where they could have done a thing where you have, you still there?
Hey, whatever happened to Storytime with Cosplay Dude 637?
Dude, you don't know?
Clearly I don't know, or I wouldn't be asking.
It's moved to Tiger Tales on YouTube.
Tiger Tales? You mean that YouTube channel ran by Ty Tiger?
Yep, that's the one. Ty Tiger brought Storytime with Cosplay Dude 637 to his channel, and it's better than ever. There's even some new stories, too.
No way! I loved Storytime. I can't wait to check it out on Tiger Tales. Thanks for the heads up.
Catch all your favorite episodes of Storytime with Cosplay Dude 637 now on Tiger Tales on YouTube. Subscribe and don't miss out on any of the fun.
Hello.
Hello.
No, sorry, my computer just decided to do an update.
Your computer's like, this conversation's boring, I'm out.
Oh man, sorry about that. So you were saying Doctor Doom,
Yeah, Yeah, so I did a YouTube video about this. I ranted for about 10 minutes. I'm pissed about RDJ coming back for two reasons. One, they did Kang. Kang the Conqueror, he was going to be the big bad. The actor got himself arrested, which is, his fault, whatever. But they're playing around with the multiverse, and we've seen so many different Kangs in one end credit scene. So they could have easily just done an end credit scene somewhere where you have a bunch of dead Kangs, and the new actor, which they were going to recast him at one point, is stood there, and all he had to do is make one simple comment of, I am Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
That's all they had to do. And then you've still got Kang. I don't have faith in Marvel right now because of that. The second issue I have with RDJ coming back as Doctor Doom is it's, again, the multiverse, and they're doing it because of fan service. That is the only reason.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love RDJ. He's a fantastic actor. To me, he'll be Iron Man forever. I completely stand on that. He did Iron Man so much justice. Without him, the MCU wouldn't exist, of course. Blah, 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 blah. He's the most paid actor in, like, most Marvel movies. All this jazz. Completely understand that. But apparently, he's Victor Von Doom. He is being Doctor Doom. But on stage, when they revealed it's him, he made the announcement of same task, different mask. Now, obviously, if you watch all of the Iron Man films and all the films that Iron Man's in, he wants to protect the world. In Iron Man 2, he even says, I want to put a suit around the world. At the beginning of Endgame, he even says, this is why I wanted a suit around the world. Thanos fucked us all over, blah, blah, blah. So that means Doctor Doom's going to have something similar, I guess. He wants to kind of like, protect his world or something on those lines. So why not just make it the storyline of when, because they've even done it in the comic books, when Tony Stark became Doctor Doom. I would prefer it if they said, Tony Stark's the bad guy of this film. He is Doctor Doom. I would prefer that. Think of all the storyline. Think of all the conversations. We've got Pepper Potts as Rescue. We've got Tom Holland's Peter Parker. We've got all these heroes who fought and knew Iron Man, Tony Stark they see Tony Stark as Doctor Doom. Just imagine the heartbreak on the screen. Imagine the scenes we could have seen. But no, they're just going to make him Victor Von Doom. Which also brings up my second point of, well, it's more of a question for Marvel. Is this the Doctor Doom? Because, we've had 3 different Peter Parkers. We've had 2 Mr. Fantastics already. We've had 1 Mr. Fantastic in Multiverse of Madness, but he's not the Mr. Fantastic. The Mr. Fantastic is Pedro Pascal, who comes out in the Fantastic Four movie next year. So it's like, is he the Doctor Doom, or is he just a Doctor Doom? And the Doctor Doom will come out later. That's a question that will also kind of, ruin it. But I don't know, it's just, I wish they stuck with Kang. There's ways they could have done it. I don't understand why they had to change it. Doctor Doom could have easily been the villain in the 3rd fucking phase, the 3rd major storyline. Doom is a huge villain as well, so that makes sense. But the only highlight I have is it's the Russo brothers, and they gave us Winter Soldier, such a good film, Civil War, such a good film, and Infinity and Endgame, which are deemed the best Marvel movies of all time. So I have respect for them. So that's the only highlight I have, is the fact that the Russo brothers are back. So I'm putting my faith in them, I guess.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I think it's lazy writing, honestly, or lazy, like you said, nostalgic. People, we want Tony Stark back, or hey, that's a face that we recognize, and that's cool. But it. And the story that they're getting, where Doctor Doom takes over Tony Stark's brain, or excuse me, Anthony Stark from a different universe, he takes over his brain and kind of becomes Iron Doom, or whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
And it's such a small portion of Fantastic Four. I'm like, how did they even think of this,
Yeah. Well, it's just don't get me wrong, I love fan service. The fact that we have a Spider-Man movie with not just one of the Spider-Men, but all 3 of them. No Way Home's my favorite Spider-Man film now, because we have all 3. But the fan service in that, it's the little things that make me love it. for those who haven't watched No Way Home, major spoilers, I guess. But you've got the scene where they just before they fight, you got all three of them, and they're talking about the villains they fought and stuff. Tom Holland says, "Oh, I've been in space. I fought a purple alien guy," and then Tobey Maguire's like, "Oh yeah, I fought a black alien, but he was like slime or something." And then Andrew Garfield's like, man, I wish I was cool as you guys. Like, none of my villains are that cool. Tobey Maguire says to Andrew Garfield, "Hey, can we stop with the negative? You're amazing. You are amazing." For the fact they have that scene, it's like I actually teared up on that scene. I was like, "Oh my god, that is such a good scene," because the Amazing Spider-Man duo movies are like so hated. Granted, I actually like them. They're not amazing, like they're not fantastic films, but if you understand Spider-Man and understand the limitations Sony had, I actually really do like them. So for the fact that you have Tobey Maguire saying to Andrew Garfield, "You are amazing," that's such an impactful scene. Like, holy crap, that was good. And they're not just, in a fight scene. They're in a big chunk of the movie, but they don't take up all of the limelight either. They're nice additions to the scene. When Tobey Maguire shoots his organic web and everyone's like, "Wait, that comes out of you?" Such a funny scene. That is good fan service. You mentioned the original Batman coming back for the Flash. The Flash is shit, but the fact that we have the OG Batman was really fucking good. That was so cool to see the original Batman. But the fact that it's not Iron Man and it's not Tony Stark or anything like this, they're just using the same actor because he does a good job. Honestly, I don't see him as Doctor Doom. In my eyes, I can't see him being Victor Von Doom. We're talking about the guy who's, completely destroyed the Fantastic Four, who's beaten all of the Avengers in the comics. He's even tried to rule the universe a good couple times, etc., etc. I don't see it. I can't.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Going back to the Spider-Man thing, I love in the No Way Home when they all like land and they're all doing their own signature poses. I always thought that was so cool.
That scene there with all their suits and stuff, the only thing that would make it better is if he wasn't wearing his Iron Spider suit. If he wore like one of his original suits, that scene would just that scene is just so good as well. And it's little things where you've got when Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man talks to Doc Ock, and they actually reference Spider-Man 2. When he goes, "How are you, kid?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm hanging in there," sort of thing. Like, that is literally taken from Spider-Man 2. And it's like, oh my god, like, whoever came up with the script, I applaud them completely, because that is fan service. That's what fans wanted. And, the video that I did where I bitched about RDJ, that video's got a lot of hate. So many people arguing with me and things. I'm like, yes, because you're seeing it as, oh my god, Tony Stark's back, blah, blah, but that's lazy as fuck. That is so bad.
It's very lazy.
It's such I've explained this to some people. If they wanted to bring RDJ back, the way that I would have done it is, in one of the Avengers films, the world's gone to shit, everything's bad, no one understands how they're going to save the day. And then somehow, somewhere, whether it's in Pepper Potts' suit or, Spider-Man's suit, or whether it's a part of the machine or something, but a hologram appears. And it's of Tony Stark from a good couple of years ago, and he's talking to himself, he's rambling on, he's making these comments, and whatever he says inspires the team again. Something on the that's how you bring Tony Stark back. Make it memorable, make it impactful, not bring him back as the fucking villain. And he's not even it's, I don't know. Marvel is, I'm very 50-50 of Marvel at the minute, because I'm very much looking forward to Daredevil Born Again. That the fact that they got all the cast back from the Netflix show, Punisher's my favorite Punisher, so I'm really glad he's back, and things like this. I'm really happy with that. I'm very much looking forward to it. The actor for Punisher even said, "I will not return as Punisher until I see a good script." Well, he's back, so which means the script must be good.
That's
and
awesome.
Things like this. Captain America 4 actually looks pretty good. We've even got Red Hulk coming in, which I'm very happy about. So I'm looking forward to that. But like even Fantastic Four, I don't understand what they're doing. Because obviously this is the multiverse. They're playing the whole multiverse thing. They're making Fantastic Four in a different universe, which is 1960 futuristic retro.
Yeah, that's so weird. That is so weird.
And I'm just like, that's just lazy as all fuck. I actually made the comment of what they should have done is when they started the multiverse saga, other than the sequel movies, so like, Black Panther 2, Spider-Man No Way Home, Captain America 4 and all that lot, all the new stuff, without telling us, put it in different universes. So we're talking the Eternals, which sadly won't get another film, Shang-Chi, Moon Knight, put all the new things in different universes without saying anything. Just put it in different universes. And then when we got to the multiverse movie, everyone's like, oh crap, they're not even in the same universe. Like, that's actually really cool.
That makes a lot of sense. That would make tons of sense.
But like, it's not even the multiverse saga. The Infinity Saga had, I think it's like 9 or 10 movies where a Infinity Stone is in it. Whether it's about the Infinity Stone or not, the multiverse saga's only got like 5 entries altogether, something like that. We're barely touched the multiverse, and it's stupid, bad. Like, sad.
Like the second Doctor Strange movie was okay. Like, I thought it was cool, but it's just, I don't think it was necessary, to be honest with you.
See, I'm very on the edge with Multiverse of Madness. A part of me loves it. I love seeing Wanda as the bad guy. She's actually really creepy sometimes. I love this. I love the scene where we first find out she's the bad guy, where we're in that like nice, pretty garden area of all the trees, and they're talking.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Hang on, I didn't say America's name," and she's like, oh, and then everything fades away. It's like, whoa, that's such a cool scene. American Chavez was really cool to see on the scene. I'm glad they made her portal star-shaped because that's very comic book accurate. She actually looked like her as well. She does actually look like American Chavez from the comics. I really like the fact that he spirit walks into a dead Doctor Strange, and we saw like, he was very dark and twisted and stuff. I thought that was very cool. That looked very dope. But like, it's called Multiverse of Madness. He jumps through a compilation of multiverses for 10 seconds, and then we go to like 2 different universes, and that's it. And none of them are mad.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So, like, explain to me why it's called Multiverse of Madness. It makes no sense.
Also, like, as much as I love Pedro Pascal, I think he's been doing really good with all his shows and movies. Excuse me. Why not just make John Krasinski Mr. Fantastic? We already saw him as Mr. Fantastic. Like, people will say, oh, well, that's a different Mr. Fantastic. Okay, we'll just use that timeline. I know, he gets jacked up, but whatever. Like, just use that timeline and Mr. Fantastic, like, a prequel version of him. Like, I thought John Krasinski did a really, really good job as Mr. Fantastic. He looked good. He had the body for it. Like, I don't know. I just think Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic, it's weird. It's just a little different.
So, I love Pedro Pascal. What I've seen of Mandalorian, he's really good in. I love The Last of Us, and The Last of Us TV show was so good. He did a really good job as Joel. I love him, but when an actor gets put in everything continuously, you kind of get bored. And like,
Right.
I'm not looking forward to seeing him as Mr. Fantastic. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not. It's just not gonna be good. And like, I completely agree. They should just stuck with the guy in Multiverse of Madness. And like, the thing is, their suits apparently are gonna be very 1960s comic book esque, which means his suit would be completely different to Multiverse of Madness. So like, even if it is a completely different universe, okay, cool, because Doctor Strange, we see, 2 versions of Doctor Strange, maybe 3, and they're all played by the same guy. So, like, just do that.
Exactly. It's not going to make any sense. And then people are like, well, Spider-Man's played by 3 different guys. Okay, yes. But it's still, like you said, Doctor Strange is played by the same guy. They could have just done that with John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. I don't know. It's like you said, I love Pedro Pascal, but I think they're oversaturating him a little bit with stretching him out too much with like everything that's going on. Like, I'm sure he's filming The Last of Us Part 2, which I can't wait for it to come out, but like just because he's a hot figure right now doesn't mean you have to put him in something like this, you know? And we all know how it is with these Marvel movies. Actors do it for a while and then they kind of get burnt out and then we don't see them for a while.
Can I just mention the fact that you said that Pedro Pascal's being stretched out?
No puns intended.
I had to bring that up. I was like, hang on a minute, did he mean to say that? Because that's actually quite amusing.
Oh my god, I didn't even notice I said that.
That was gold, bro. But yeah, honestly, like Last of Us. Have you played the games of Last of Us?
I played the first one, which was really good. I started the second one and never finished it.
So the second one, I absolutely love the second one. I adore the gameplay. I think it's so good. The last act of the game, personally, I would have put like either as like the third game or shortened it or something, because it gets to this. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it gets to this point where you could have ended it there. Like there's a fight scene in the game. There's a cut scene in the game, and then you could just end it. You could literally end the game there, and it would have been like a holy crap moment. Like, why am I putting my controller down for? Why is there credits on my screen? What the fuck are you doing? But it would have been so good. And then there's more that they don't end the game there. They continued it, and I'm like, was that necessary though? It's a good third act. They kind of more like a fourth act. It's such a good act, and like, holy crap, is it like really adrenaline? You know, it's kind of like the last act of Last of Us 1, where you get everything. You have like all of your abilities and weapons and stuff, so you can just go ham on people and all this jazz. You feel like a badass, but it's just a case of shorten it or maybe put it in the third game or something. But yeah, I love Last of Us Part 2. Very much looking forward to the second season. The first season, so the funny thing is, I got my friend into Last of Us the games. He actually kept on coming to my house when we were 15, 16, and I'm playing the first one. He's like, dude, this is really cool. So I explained it to him how like they're zombies, but it's kind of like a fungal infection like thing.
Yeah.
I explained the world to him. I got him into the games. And when the season came out, I was like, really? They're making a TV show about The Last of Us? Like, I'm very concerned. He got me watching the season, so kind of like reverse roles. And we binge watched it in 3 days. Yeah, it was so good. I absolutely really enjoyed it. Like, there's a whole episode dedicated to a character who's only in the game for 20 minutes.
Are you talking about God, what's her name? The mall scene, right?
No, I'm talking about Bill, the guy who in the game
Yeah.
In the game, he literally takes you from point A to point B, gives you a car battery, walks away. That is it. That's all. In the show, they give him a whole fucking episode, and I cried. What the actual hell? That was so good.
That was a good episode.
Yeah, it was really good. And in the show, they don't even meet Bill. I was like, holy crap! Like, what the fuck? But yeah, it's like such a good show. I love the fact, I don't know how many people know this, but all the voice actors are actually in the show.
Yeah, that was cool. My friend told me that. Yeah,
I thought that was really cool. So like, for those who don't know, Marlene's voice actor is Marlene. She plays the same character. Only reason that is though is because she looks like her character. She honestly does. Ellie's voice actress is Ellie's mum. Which I thought that was a really nice touch. Joel's voice actor, who's actually one of my favorite voice actors, he's the cannibal's right-hand man, which I thought was actually a really cool role to give him. I thought that was actually kind of sick. But yeah, all the voice actors everywhere, I thought it was actually pretty cool. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the second season. I don't think they're going to put the whole second game in the second season, because it's only going to be, I think they've limited to 10 episodes, because... yeah, I think it's 10 episodes, but there's so much to do, so much to build upon. And the way they did the first season, where, some scenes were cut down, some scenes were like a whole episode, etc., etc. They changed some things, but I like the changes. I think it's actually going to be kind of split into 2 seasons, which if they do that, I'm going to be so happy with. I'm fine with that. But yeah, Last of Us is good.
Yeah, I agree.
So what games do you play? Because you mentioned you're a gamer, so like what type of games do you actually play?
So right now, I'm playing Black Myth Wukong, which I'm sure you've heard of already.
Yes.
It's the hot game right now. It is so hard. So hard. And I'm not a Dark Souls type guy, so like I never played any of the Dark Souls games. I played a little bit of Sekiro. I played those kind of games and they're cool, but I was like, meh. But I was like, you know what, I love I love like mythology and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, Wukong. Like I know a little bit about Wukong, and I love like fighting, like martial arts style games. So I was like, definitely a game for me. Well, I was in for a surprise, that's for sure. I got stuck on that first boss for like a good 20 tries before I beat him. And it's been like that for every fight. It's so hard. It's fun. I like it. It's fun. It's definitely a challenging game.
I actually I watch someone on TikTok who collects video games and plays video games. This is his entire like TikTok on YouTube. But he actually talked about Wukong, and he says that if you can beat the final boss on Wukong and you played all the Souls games and you complain about the Souls games, you're a bitch. Because if you can beat the final boss, apparently is that difficult. It's nothing. Like all the Souls games are just pitiful. Or apparently, I was like, all right, fair enough. I've played the original Demon Souls, which was a bitch. I've played Dark Souls. Kind of fell off since then, and I'm not. I play so many types of different games. It's unreal. I can never ask. When someone says to me, "Oh, what's your favorite game?" I'm like, in what sense? Because I play so many. I can't name that. I can never answer that question. But Souls games just don't interest me. I'm not the type of person to sit there and go, yeah, let's get so pissed off I want to throw my controller at the screen. Just not my cup of tea.
Just 2 days ago, I rage quit it. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I think like in the 5th boss, uh, maybe 4th boss, I could not for the life of me beat him. And I'm not going to give any spoilers to which boss it is, because I want everyone to play it for themselves. But I would, finish eating dinner. I'd come play real quick. I'd fight him like 4 or 5 times. Just could not beat him. And my biggest takeaway from this game is that I don't like is there's no parry. You cannot parry an attack. All you can do is dodge, and that is so hard. To, like,
literally. I've heard so many people bitch about that. That's like the biggest complaint is there's no parry system.
It's so hard. I'm just like you really have to remember like their attack sequence, and like, all right, he just did this attack, now he's gonna do this attack, and it's like, oh my god.
So, like, what would you say is like some of your favorite games like of all time?
Favorite games of all time. A game I'm playing right now is called Ready or Not, and it's like a SWAT style game. It's a SWAT simulator. And,
I know what you mean.
Oh, it's so good. Me and my buddy, we played together, and like, you should hear us on comms. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna peek door. I'm gonna round door. I'm gonna throw a flashbang in. Like, this game is so like realistic. Like, if you're not like on it, you're gonna die. Like, you're gonna get shot and die. That's it. Like, you have to be on your toes all the time, because you're walking through like a dark room, and then out of nowhere to your left, like a person's gonna come and try and shoot you. But like, it might be like a civilian. They might have a civilian hostage, and you're like, oh, I can't kill the civilian, because if I kill a civilian, I lose the objective. And it's so good. I'm not the biggest like FPS fans, but this game is like, it has me hooked.
So at the minute, on my, I have a couple gaming channels for different things, but my walkthrough channel, I've kind of been jumping from the Gears of War games to the Batman Arkham games. I played Batman Arkham several times, but Gears of War I'm new to. I'm not an Xbox player. I grew up on PlayStation.
Gears of War.
PS2 onward, GameCube was like the only other thing I really had as a kid. But it's in the last like 2 years, I bought my friend's Xbox Series S off him, bought the Game Pass, all the Gears of War games are on there, And a couple of weeks ago, my friend's like, "Hey, you should play Gears of War. It'd be really cool." And I was like, maybe, I don't know. So I went to a YouTuber that I watch specifically for gaming. He does similar content to me. He's really big in the gaming community on YouTube. So I was like, all right, I'll watch him play it. I watched like the first 10 minutes of the first game. I was like, actually, this is my kind of game. And I stand on this hill, PS3/Xbox Series, Xbox 360 era of gaming had the best games in it,
peak.
hands down. So I played Gears of War 1 and I've completed Gears of War 2. And honestly, they are some of my favorite games right now. Holy crap! I'm about to start the Arkham City DLC. I've got to record that and finish that. But I'm so looking forward to getting into Gears of War 3. I'm so looking forward to it. Holy crap, those games are so good. Gears of War 2, I cried. I got angry. I wanted to throw my controller. I wanted to hug Dom. Like just like tie-dyed, and I got annoyed at that. And it's just like, oh my god, like number 2 was so good.
Yeah, I mean, I remember high school me sitting down at my friend's house because he had an Xbox, I had a PlayStation, kind of same thing you were saying. He's like, "Hey, you want to play some Gears of War?" I was like, "What the heck is Gears of War?" Because again, it was an Xbox exclusive. And he's like, "Come on, let's play." And back in the days, which I miss, is it was split screen. So we would just be there, teenagers, kids, having pizza and some soda and just staying up all night playing Gears of War. And it's like, that's probably one of my favorite memories as a kid. Just like, no cares in the world, just hang out all day with your best friend and just play video games together. And that was our game. Halo and Gears of War and a little bit of Call of Duty.
So I've never touched Halo. That's kind of something else I'm looking forward to recording the storylines of. Call of Duty, I was late to that. I was never an online player. I kind of grew up in a household where the internet was kind of hidden away from me until I was a certain age. My parents also kind of gave me like age restricted, so like, if I wasn't 14, 15, I wasn't allowed to play a 15-year-old game, etc., etc. So I had that kind of like childhood, which was fine. But the first Call of Duty game I played was number 3, Black Ops 3.
Oh yeah, Black Ops 3.
Only reason why was because it became free on PlayStation Plus for like a month, and I was like, okay. I just started playing online games, Overwatch, For Honor, Rainbow Six Siege, Titanfall 2, kind of delved into those games. I loved them all, and then Black Ops 3 became available. I was like, I know my buddies play it, let's play that. Loved it. And then since then, I think I've played all of them other than Modern Warfare 2, the newest one. That's crap. And I've never touched Vanguard because my buddy bought it, played it for a day, messaged me going, "Dude, have you bought Vanguard yet?" I went, "No, I've got to wait a week." He went, "Don't bother." I was like, all right, fair enough.
So yeah, that game really died out.
But like, my favorite Call of Duty is World War 2. I know that sounds a bit odd, but World War 2 is such a good game. Storyline's really good. The game, I love the boot to the ground type mechanic, sort of style gameplay. I'm quite looking forward to the new one that comes out at the end of this year. That actually it's going back to semi good gameplay, because Modern Warfare 3 is okay, but it just feels empty. It just feels a bit. It kind of feels like you're giving half a meal and you're wondering where the other half the meal's gone.
Right.
So I'm a bit like, okay, it's alright. It's playable, but it's a bit So yeah, I'm looking forward to the new one. Apparently Zombies has gone back to like actual zombies, which I'm looking forward to. But yeah, Call of Duty is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I play a lot of Warzone. Like, my buddies, like I said, I'm not the biggest FPS fan, but like my buddies, like from work, were like, "Hey, we're gonna hop on some Warzone." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm down." I'm good enough where I can get a few kills in. Like, I have a couple gold and platinum guns. So like, I definitely put the time in, and like, I would say I'm pretty decent enough to like get a couple of Warzone wins. But it's fun. I like the fact that you can play with people around the world now. Like if I said, "Hey, do you want to hop on?" You're like, "Yeah, sure, let's play." So like, we can actually play together. It's not like, "Hey, come over to my house at 8:00 and let's play some games."
Yeah. So, do you have a PlayStation 4 or a PlayStation 5?
I had a PlayStation 5, but I sold it, and I have a PC now, so I play on PC.
Isn't Warzone cross-platform?
It is.
Yeah. So the reason why I say that, so I have Okay, one thing that you will learn about me eventually, because everyone mentions it, I have a lot of YouTube channels for many different reasons. ADHD brain being one of them, and two, YouTube doesn't like it when you post different types of content on the same channel. It makes no sense, the YouTube algorithm. The YouTube algorithm does not understand it. Let's say you're a gamer and you post over 100 gaming videos, but then you do one video where you're vlogging or you're doing a tutorial on cooking or something. YouTube does not understand what the fuck you're doing and gets spazzed out about it. So I have lots of different YouTube channels because I do so much stuff. Literally all of my hobbies are on YouTube. So I do gaming, I write fan fictions and stories and turn them into audio dramas. I do art. I've got a vlogging channel with my fiance. Me and my son have got a channel together because he's 5 and actually likes YouTube. So I thought, why not? All sorts of stuff. But anyway, I've got my main gaming channel, which is called Ty Tiger because that's my name. And that's where I do walkthroughs. I'll play a game from game to end, all the storyline, etc., etc. I've got Ty Tiger Offline, which is actually my fiance that made that name up, which I thought was really cool. But that's where I do, side missions, free roaming content. If a game's got no storyline but it's just fun to play, I'll record it. Just basically whatever the fuck I want to put on it, I'll put on it. Then I've got Ty Tiger Online, hence why I've got offline. Ty Tiger Online is where I play Call of Duty, Titanfall, For Honor, all the multiplayer stuff. What I was going to say to you was, I haven't uploaded Warzone. I don't really play Warzone. I like Warzone, I just don't play it. If you wanted to, we could always jump into a Discord call one time. I could record, Warzone, and we can put it on the channel if you wanted to.
Yeah, I'm down for that. Yeah. Lately, what I've been doing too is I've been going on TikTok Live and just like playing video games. Like I was streaming Warzone the other day, and I was streaming Wukong the other day. Like, it's cool. Like, I think it's cool. My followers like, hey, like, it's different. Like, like sometimes I'll be live building Gundams, and the next day I'll be live playing a video game. And it's like, yeah, just come hang out with me. Like, it's not like my page isn't specifically for building. It is like a build page, but like I do it all. Like I just post whatever I feel like posting. I have my personal channel for like my personal stuff, which is just like me scrolling through TikTok. But my Kenshibuilds account is just like video games, Gundam content, and like anime.
Yeah, TikTok's a lot nicer when it comes to different things. Like my TikTok account, usually it's me geeking out about things. I'll stitch a few people talking about comic books or movies or whatever. I also use it to promote my YouTube channels and talk about the storylines I'm doing and things like this. So like I can post pretty much whatever, and I'll still get a couple hundred views on things. TikTok's a lot nicer for that sort of thing. But yeah, when you mentioned you play Warzone, I was like, hey, someone else who plays Warzone, maybe we could maybe I can make some YouTube videos out of this.
I am down. Yeah, just let me know anytime. Like, I know I think we're 8-hour difference, but let me know.
Yeah, see, I've grown very attuned to the whole time difference thing. Because so I write stories and fan fictions, turn them into audio dramas. Then I have a business studio with 2 other content creators who do the same thing. One of them lives in England, so we're literally like the same time zone. But one of them lives in Iowa, so he's 6 hours behind me. So we're very attuned to like working with him, the time difference. And you're not the only person who's been 8 hours, behind me. So I'm kind of used to the whole time jump and everything. The strangest one was I've had an Australian on before, and he's 10 hours ahead of me, so he was the opposite way round. That was so bizarre.
That's hilarious.
That was so. I actually said to him, I was like, "It's weird to think it's midday for me, but it's almost 10 p.m. for you. That is so weird."
That is weird. Yeah, I have a buddy on TikTok who goes live, and we go live together sometimes. He's Australian, and I'm like, "Hey, what time is it over there?" He's like if it was Tuesday at 3 right now, it'd be like Wednesday at like 6 a.m. for him.
Yeah, it's I still find it strange, the whole American to UK thing. I kind of compare us quite a lot. As Jim and Billy, Zero to Hero, they're from Texas. Quite often me and Jim and Billy will talk about Texas to the UK and we compare them. And I love talking to Jim. I'm looking forward to the next time he's on my podcast because the last time he was on, we literally did. I spent a good 20 minutes just comparing, the laws and all different types of stuff between American and the UK. It's just so strange. Like when you live your daily life, you don't think about 800 miles away from you. And then when that gets brought into your perspective, you're like, whoa, that's so weird.
Mm-hmm. I know, it always time dilation always trips me out.
Oh yeah, like my fiance makes a joke when it gets to about 9 p.m. for me, 10 p.m. for me. It's about 3 to 4 p.m. for you guys. So anytime about 9, 10 p.m., my fiance will make the joke of, right, your phone's about to go off. I'm like, what do you mean? And then my phone will start firing. Go the Discord, the Messenger, because all the Americans are awake. They're done with work, or whatever. And now they're messaging me.
That's
so she'll make sure, because there's Jim and Billy, there's my business partner. We've got I don't know if you've spoken to like Jared from If You Give a Dad a Podcast. I'm good friends with him. I've got quite a few American buddies and stuff like that. I work with a lot of my voice actors are American. So yeah, she makes the joke of whenever it gets to 10 p.m, my phone will just light up because that's when everyone's like, "Hey, I can be able to talk now."
That's so funny.
But yeah, it's cool though. I like the fact that I've we're able to, like you said, the internet's a thing. We can game and we can bond over the world, and it's insane to think about, but it's such a cool concept at the same time. Like I said, hey, let's play Warzone, and we're able to play Warzone even though you're 6 hours behind me, or 8 hours behind me.
8 hours, yeah. No, I agree. It's super cool. I think internet for sure has its ups and downs, and I think that for sure is one of the ups that you can talk to people like, 20 years ago, you and I wouldn't even be having this conversation because I wouldn't know who you were and you wouldn't know who I was because we wouldn't have that access to the internet. And, it's awesome. Like we're here, we're talking, we have common interests. Now we can build on that bond because we can talk to each other from across the world.
Yeah, it's really cool. And we've been talking for over an hour and a half now, and we've talking about games and collectibles, Marvel and DC and stuff, and it's been great. The internet can be a dumb place sometimes, but it's great at the same time.
Right. Exactly. I agree. And I love it. I like going back to what I've been doing with the Gundams. Like I love building Gundams. I love posting my stuff, and just getting that interaction. It's super cool.
So when it comes to games, has there been like any game that you haven't played that you kind of want to play?
Yeah, like I think earlier, like I said, I love fighting games. Like I haven't played Street Fighter 6 or Tekken 8 yet. So those are definitely games that I want to get because I love fighting games. So I really want to check those games out, and I really want to get the new Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero game.
Have you played Mortal Kombat 1?
No, that's another game. Thank you. I heard it's really good, and the whole like timeline difference is awesome.
So yeah, Mortal Kombat 1, I played that game on my channel too. Absolutely love Mortal Kombat 1. Really glad that they've kind of changed direction with the whole new timeline era that they've done. Really fascinating, really cool. I love seeing all the differences that they've done with certain characters. Some of them make no sense, like Rain is no longer a ninja, he's a water mage, but I guess it's kind of cool at the same time. DLC's been quite interesting. Because we got Omni-Man, Homelander, and Peacemaker as guest characters.
Oh, right. I saw that.
So, Omni-Man, one of the best characters they've ever put in an NetherRealm game. Holy crap, he's fun to play as, and you can punch people like fuck with him. He's so fun. Peacemaker, I'm not a fan as John Cena, and I'm not a fan of John Cena's Peacemaker, but I do like him in the game. He's entertaining to play as. He's got cool moves and everything. Homelander was the one I was looking forward to, and he's good. It just feels off. It feels like something's missing. It just feels a bit. I don't know. It almost like he's not polished enough to be Homelander. I'm not entirely sure. But he's fun. And then we got Combat Pack 2 coming out, which is actually an extended storyline, which is really cool. So many people are bitching over the fact that they're bringing Cyrax and Sektor back, but they're girls this time. They're not males, they're females. And they're not
that's
they're
different.
they're not robots. They're girls wearing suits. So it's almost like they're Iron Man in a sense. Think of it like that.
Weird.
But I like it. I think it's really cool. So many people bitching the fact that I think it's Cyrax that's a black dude. So many people bitching that Cyrax is a black woman. I'm like, but Cyrax a black guy. The only thing they change is the gender. Why are you bitching over the fact that he's black? What the fuck are you doing? Fandoms make no sense. But the next 3 guest characters are Ghostface from the Scream series, T-1000 from Terminator, so that's the liquid one, and then Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, cool. The Arnold Schwarzenegger Conan?
It looks like him. Whether he's voicing him, I don't know.
That's still pretty cool.
So, I mean, I'm not really fussed over Conan per se. I mean, it's cool, but like, I whether he's in the game or not doesn't really faze me. T-1000 is going to be interesting, and then the Ghostface. I'm kind of thinking, isn't he meant to be in Mortal Kombat X? But okay.
That's true. And didn't they have RoboCop in X also, or 11?
So RoboCop came in number 11 because X was horror, 11 was action heroes / like 80s movies, and then this one started off as superheroes or bad caped like anti-heroes or something, and then they've gone just all round with the third, the next 3. But yeah, number 11 had RoboCop, Terminator, and Rambo.
Yeah, that's right. Rambo was in 11.
Rambo was good. I enjoyed playing as Rambo. He was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I have a buddy who's huge into the Mortal Kombat games, and I played them. God, on the Nintendo 64, I used to play Mortal Kombat, and on the Super Nintendo. So it's cool seeing how much they've progressed and evolved in the few, decades.
Did you ever play Injustice?
I played Injustice 2, I believe it was.
So, Injustice 2 is actually the reason why I'm a content creator in the first place.
Cool.
I owe everything to Injustice 2. So, huge fan of Injustice 1. When Injustice 2 got announced, the announcement trailer was so good. The announcement trailer to Injustice 2 had Superman, Supergirl, Flash, Wonder Woman, and Batman fighting. But they're in like this underground place, and it's quite hard to see them. Like, the lighting's bad. But because Injustice 2 introduced the gear system where you could customize each like component, the arms, the legs, the torso, their heads, etc., etc. Right. They did it so, like, for example, Supergirl gets thrown into a wall, but as she stands up, armor appears over her chest. Her symbol becomes armored. She gains a headpiece or like armor, and then it lights up so it's more illuminated. I was like, that's sick. So I get the game. I pre-ordered it. I'm sat there playing it. My girlfriend at the time and my brother are sat next to me, and I can't remember what I said. I made a comment, but my brother like found it funny. He was like, "Dude, you should be a YouTuber. Like, you'd be really good commenting on this game." I was like, "Yeah, I should." And like a good minute goes by, and I'm like, "Hang on, I could make this. Why am I not doing YouTube?" And like, yeah, Injustice 2 is the reason why I became a content creator in the first place.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
But Injustice 2 is fantastic. Love that game. It's NetherRealm as well, so it's the same people that made Mortal Kombat.
Right.
But the biggest issue with Mortal Kombat 1 is they introduced the partner system, these cameos where they have their own roster. There's a certain amount of characters, and you press like a certain button in mid-match and they can jump out and do different things. Each character does something different. They can attack the opponent, they can protect you, they can just they do different things. So there's DLC cameos. So the issue with the DLCs is they've given you one playable character 1 month. The next month they do a cameo character. So then the next month they do a playable character. So the 6 DLC characters took a year to come out because after each one they're getting a cameo character, which is the longest time it's ever taken NetherRealm to release a full DLC pack, because they usually do one a month. So at one hand, I'm like, that's a bit wank. I'm waiting. I'm waiting 2 whole months to get a new character. I'm bored now. Blah blah blah. The cameos aren't like I don't. They're okay, I guess. But then I'm also thinking NetherRealm have to work with Warner Brothers before they can make Injustice 3, because obviously there's a licensing rights and everything. They've got to run everything by Warner Brothers. So they've said Injustice 3 is going to happen. It'll be the last Injustice. But the head guy of NetherRealm, Ed Boon, he's actually admitted he's been in talks with Kevin Feige, which is the head of Marvel.
Oh, that's cool.
So, like, my thought is, okay, so you've given us a year worth of content, then you're giving us a Combat Pack 2 and new storyline DLC, which will take a good 6 months to come out. That's almost 2 whole years since the game came out. One hand, it's like, man, okay, fine, we have to wait so long. But on the other hand, I'm thinking, you're cooking time, you're giving yourselves time so you can work on these other games, aren't you? I guarantee Ed Boon's a smart dude. He is not dumb. He trolled everyone for Spawn. Mortal Kombat X. He asked everyone on Twitter, hey, what do you think if we put Spawn in Mortal Kombat? Injustice 2 came out. Hey, what do you feel like if we put Spawn in Injustice 2? He saw that everybody was pleading him, so he made everyone wait for Mortal Kombat 11, and that's when Spawn came in, because Spawn's one of the DLC characters for Mortal Kombat 11.
Cool.
So, like, he made everyone wait. He trolled everyone for so long. So I'm sat thinking, you're making us wait so long. I guarantee now they're cooking something. They're giving themselves time, because it'll either be a Marvel game or Injustice 3 or something like that. Everybody wants another. Did you ever play Mortal Kombat versus DC back on PS3?
Yeah, I did. That was a good game.
Yeah, so everybody wants Injustice versus this new era of Mortal Kombat.
Ooh, that'd be
And
cool.
I'm like, yeah, yes, please give me that. I'll pay. Like, yeah. So, like, I think they're cooking something. They are delaying their time. They're giving themselves time to work on stuff, and I think that's why it's taking so long. Yeah, they don't want the NetherRealm hype to die down. So they're giving us all this extra content, and then eventually they'll go, hey guys, guess what? We got a new game, and it'll be the best games like in a while and stuff like this. I think they're cooking.
That'd be cool. Like, see, for me, I'm more of a Tekken fan. Like, I like the Tekken mechanics more than the Mortal Kombat mechanics. Especially like the sidestepping and stuff like that. I think that's really cool. Like I grew up on all of that Tekken, Mortal Kombat, King of Fighters, stuff like that. But just Tekken's always like stood out to me, and I love the way it plays. So I'm excited to hopefully finally get Tekken 8, because I want to get into tournaments for that.
See, I think the only thing that's never made any sense to me. Now, I've played a couple of the Tekkens. I haven't played 7, but it's the DLC characters, because like you've got Negan from Walking Dead as a playable character in Tekken 7. I'm like, okay, yeah, but that makes no sense.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. Like, I don't know why they added him. Then I think they added Akuma from Street Fighter.
Yeah, but see, that kind of makes sense, because that's a cool little like crossover type thing, because in Injustice 2, Mortal Kombat 11, and Mortal Kombat 1, NetherRealm voice swapped their franchises. So in Injustice 1, we had Scorpion. Injustice 2, we had Sub-Zero and Raiden. In Mortal Kombat 11, we had Joker, which is the best Joker they've ever done. And then obviously in Mortal Kombat 1, we've had Peacemaker. So they've always swapped things. And like, they've also had Noctis from Final Fantasy 15.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that also made no sense. He's a weapon specialist. Why is he in Tekken?
It is weird. It is weird.
Like, it makes more sense if you put Noctis in Soul Calibur.
Yes, right. That would make tons of sense.
Did you ever play Soul Calibur?
Oh god, I loved it. I remember was it Soul Calibur 4 where they had Darth Vader and Yoda?
Yep. So the annoying thing of that is I was actually speaking to my buddy A-Crown about this literally the other day. When Soul Calibur was such a thing, they were still doing the whole, if you play it on PlayStation, you get this. But
Yep.
if you play it on Xbox, you get this,
Yep.
console exclusives. So yeah, on PlayStation you got Darth Vader, and then
Yep.
on Xbox you got Yoda. Then, no matter what game you play, you got the Apprentice from Star Wars Force Unleashed, which was very
Yeah.
cool. The hardest boss fight in any Soul Calibur's game. I don't care who you are. That was difficult to unlock him. That was so hard. But like, the biggest gripe I think I had with Soul Calibur was Soul Calibur 2. On PlayStation, you had Hiachi from, is it Tekken? Is Hiachi in Tekken, or is it Street
Yeah.
Fighter?
Tekken.
Yeah. And then Xbox had Spawn wielding an axe, and then on GameCube you had Link from Legend of Zelda.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yep, literally all three games had a different character, and it's just like that is madness. Yeah, the guest characters have always been odd in Soul Calibur. You had Soul Calibur 5 had Ezio from Assassin's Creed.
Right.
And then Soul Calibur 6 had Geralt from Witcher, and then I do not know what she's from, Nier Automata or Nier Automata, whatever it's called. She was a bit odd. 2B, I think she's called. That was very strange. But yeah, I love Soul Calibur. I think Soul Calibur's class.
Yeah, so Calibur 6 was, I just beat that game probably like 6 months ago. It was fun. I liked it. I like that you can do like customizations and stuff like that, and kind of just go through the ranks of the story.
See, I love Soul Calibur. I really want them to kind of do like a Mortal Kombat where like they just restart the whole thing, because Soul Calibur 6 tried, but it wasn't well received. I want them to restart, do it again, new universe, whatever. But yeah, Soul Calibur's awesome. I think Soul Calibur's very underrated. Soul Calibur 3 is still one of my favorite games. That had a lot of characters in it, really good storyline and things like this. But yeah, Soul Calibur's a good fighting game. I like that one. Did you ever play Super Smash Bros?
Yeah, God, I love Super Smash Bros. It's probably one of my favorite fighting games. It's just, you get, all these cartoon characters that you love, like, Mario and all that, and Sonic, and, Link and all that. It's just like, they're all just fighting each other, and it's like, it's so cool. And I don't think a lot of people know or remember, but they're toys. Like, if you ever play the original Super Smash Bros., they're just toys. And, but it just, oh God, it's such a good game.
Oh yeah, like I don't think they'll make another one after Ultimate, because obviously Ultimate had like all of the characters ever put in a Super Smash Bros. In one game. The DLC was absolutely fantastic. We had like Sora from Kingdom Hearts, Cloud and Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII, and all sorts of stuff put in that game. It was madness. But then again, we've got a lot of spin-offs. I don't know, rip-offs, sorry. Like Nickelodeon have tried making one. Warner Bros. Has got one. Multiverses does my head in. They've locked all the characters through either a paywall, or you can grind your ass off and unlock each character one by one. And it's like, why have you done this? Like, I'd so play Multiverses if it was like all the characters were free. Because we've got things like Beetlejuice, we've got Jason Voorhees, DC heroes, we've got Bugs Bunny, we've got like the guy from Space Jam's in it. We've got Games of Thrones characters. We've got like all sorts of crap. If Warner Bros. owns it, they've put it in there. And it's just like, why have you locked all the characters away? What are you doing? Like, I'd happily it's a free game, that's why they've done it. But I'd happily play the game if all the characters were free. But sadly, they've locked all the characters away, and it's just like, you dumbasses.
Yeah, I know it had like a lot of hype when it first came out, but it lost that hype like really quick. That's probably the reason why, because it was like a cash cow, so they just wanted you to buy all the skins.
Yeah. So when it comes to like fighting games and stuff, whether it's like Mortal Kombat or like Tekken, whatever, it doesn't matter the game. But if you could put a character from something else and make it a guest character for a fighting game, who would you put in a fighting game?
You know what? I think it'd be cool. Jin from Ghost of Tsushima, to put him in one of the games, because I love Ghost of Tsushima.
That would be cool.
That would be super awesome. Or even like some Power Rangers, honestly. Like I know Power Rangers tried doing their own like type of like fighting game. I think it was something Grid, Battle of the Grid.
Yeah.
It was okay. I played it for a while, but if they could like, get those like Unreal Engine 5 graphics into like a fighting game, I think that would be really cool.
So, funny enough, I actually came up with a concept of how Tommy Oliver would work in a fighting game. So, in Injustice 2, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are playable. All four of them. You can play as all four turtles. And they did it in a way where, so in Injustice 2, you can customize 5 things: torso, legs, arms, head, and then each character has one specific item or something that is their own. So for Superman, I think it's his logo. For Batman, it's his utility belt, etc., etc. Well, with the turtles, whatever weapon you equip makes it so it's the character. So if you equip the katanas or a type of katana, it's Leonardo. If you equip nunchucks, it's going to be Michelangelo or that. So with Tommy Oliver, if they did, let's say, I think Injustice would be the best game to put him in. But let's say you equip the green power coin, for example, because he's got the Master Morpher, doesn't he? He's got all 5 of his Ranger suits. So if you do the green power coin, then he will morph into the Green Ranger, and it will play. All 5 Rangers would play very similar. There'd be similarities between all 5 forms, but they'd be slightly different because they don't have the turtles. If they can do it with the turtles, they can do it for Tommy. But using that same sort of mechanic, you can make Tommy Oliver playable in a fighting game, but also have all 5 Ranger forms.
That'd be really cool. What'd be another cool thing is maybe you can put you have the Master Morpher and maybe have 3 options. So you start off as let's say just the Green Ranger, right? And then you can hit a special button when it levels up, loads up, it has full the full XP, and then you can transform into the White Ranger or him as the Black Dino Thunder Ranger.
Yeah, there's also in Smash Bros. They did Pokemon Trainer, who has Squirtle, Ivysaur, and Charizard. All you had to do, I think it's down at A, I think, and then you can swap all 3 around. Literally, you can return Squirtle and throw at Ivysaur, and you're playing as Ivysaur. They could do something like that where you just press a 2-button combination, it'll switch between, let's say you pick 3 out of the 5 or something, there's ways they could do it. The Battle for the Grid game that you mentioned, I think it was solid at first. I thought they did such a good job. They did, they introduced all different types of Rangers. They had the Mighty Morphin 2017 Blue Ranger in there, which I thought was actually a nice addition. The DLC was really cool as well. Daishi was a playable character. That was nuts. Lord Draken was the main villain, which was fine. But then I don't know. I think not enough teams were represented. I don't even think Lightspeed Rescue's in there.
I don't
either. Don't think. Oh no, Shadow Ranger is playable.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But that's not. He's an extra ranger. A lot of the extra rangers are playable. But we do have 2 Time Force, most of the Mighty Morphin, etc. There's not enough of some, but not enough of the others. There's too much of some teams and stuff like that. They also added things not enough villains either. Goldar, Daishi, Scorpina are 3 of the main ones I think are in there. But it's just I don't know. The way they did it, it was good, but it wasn't good enough. If that makes sense.
I agree. Yep. Yeah, I agree. It was okay, but it was just not. I lost interest within a month.
They need to do either a Tekken or a Mortal Kombat type fighting game where it's Power Rangers and make sure all the teams are represented by 1 to 2 Rangers. Mortal Kombat 11 has 30 characters. Injustice 2 has 20 something. They've done games with big rosters. It's not unheard of. So give us 1 to 2 of each Ranger team. Give us a villain from most Ranger teams. And don't just give us big bad guys and generals. Give us one of the episodic monsters that turn up. Give us different things to play as. And they could do it, but again, all they focus on is Mighty Morphin because there's a new Power Ranger game coming out, which is very retro early 90s sort of like
Yeah.
side scroll and my
I saw
Morphin again, and it's like, okay, cool, but why?
that. I
Like
think it's
that's
just because it's like all '90s kids. They gravitate towards Mighty Morphin, which again, I'm the same way. I'm a huge Mighty Morphin fan. Like when I think Power Rangers, the first suits that come to my mind are Mighty Morphin. You know?
true, but with the Zordon era, Mighty Morphin isn't the only like team because
Right.
they never use the second team. It's always the original. They never put Rocky, Adam,
Right.
Aisha. You know, there's
Right.
Turbo and In Space and Zeo. You know,
Right.
I bet you if they did a Zeo game,
Oh, that'd be cool.
people would go nuts. You know,
I just think it's because Zeo is so short too. Like, they just kind of like, let's stick. Excuse me, stick to the Mighty Morphin.
did you ever play any of I completely lost what the game's called right now. Hang on one second. I'm gonna Google. I know one of. I need to make sure I have the correct name. I'm just googling it quickly to make sure if I mention it, I know what I'm talking about. Did you ever play Dynasty Warriors or Samurai Warriors or any of those
No,
type of
I
games?
I didn't. I've seen it like when I was a kid. I seen it, but I never played it. Actually, wait, did
So
I ever play it? No, I don't think so.
I think a Power Ranger game in that sort of aspect would work really well as well. Because in Dynasty Warriors, you have like X amount of playable characters. You have a map to run around on, and you can you slay hundreds of bad guys in a couple of strikes. You know, and each character has a different weapon, different special moves, and things like this. I'm literally talking about Power Rangers. I've literally just explained what Power Rangers could be: different weapons, different abilities, multiple different characters, and like because of the whole foot soldier thing in every season, you could have it so like you have a whole army of foot soldiers to fight, and Power Rangers have done thousands of crossovers, so like they could do that too. And I think Dynasty Warriors type Power Ranger game would work really well if it was done right.
Even like a Battlefront 2 style game for Power Rangers would be cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
Yeah, it's a shame that Power Rangers was very like lackluster
yeah,
in the video game department.
I agree. One game I do wish that they brought back or remade was Marvel versus Capcom.
Yeah, they're actually putting all the original arcade games as a bundle coming out soon. Actually, they're putting like I think it's X-Men versus Street Fighter, or whatever it's called. They're doing Marvel versus Capcom 1, 2, and 3. No, is it just 1 and 2? There's a good couple of them, but you can literally buy them all in a bundle, and they're releasing it in a couple of days. But yeah, I agree. Marvel versus Capcom was very cool. Infinite, which is the latest one, that was good, but again, felt very lackluster.
Yeah, it's a shame. It really is a shame. Like I think they could do so much with it, especially with like the whole superhero era going on right now. They could do so much more, and like I think they did an amazing job with Spider-Man. Like if they could do more games like that, I think it would be awesome.
Yeah, that's see, like they have you seen the fact that they're doing another Arkham game?
No, I never really kept track with the Arkham games.
Well, I honestly, I should highly suggest the Arkham series. It's really good. One of some of the best Batman storytelling. You got Kevin Conroy as Batman. Joker's just the best character in all the games. He's so good. But like, so they did Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight. A different company did Arkham Origins, which is a prequel. So they're the 4 games we got. And we haven't had anything Arkham for a long time. They're now doing Arkham Shadows, which by the trailer looks like it predates all of the games, but it's only on MetaQuest because it's a VR game.
Oh wow.
And I'm looking at it, I'm like, why? Why is this not on at least PlayStation VR? I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Have you ever dabbled in VR?
Once, old friend of mine had the PlayStation one, and I played a racing game simulator, and he gave me the goggles, the soundproof headphones, and the control. And, oh my god, I got so dizzy. This was probably like 8 years ago. So like VR was so like, it was barely taken off. And he's like, "Hey, try this out." I was like, "Okay, cool. I love racing games." And he had like the whole setup. Like he had the steering wheel and the clutch and the shifter and everything. So I know how to drive manual. So I was like, "Okay, let me get on this." And I didn't realize how like accurate it was. I crashed into the wall. The car flipped, and I got so dizzy and almost threw up.
Wow, yeah, VR, no matter what it is, whether it's MetaQuest or PlayStation, whatever. Yeah, it hasn't. Like my brother can't play VR; he gets motion sickness. So whenever he plays VR, he gets really queasy.
Yeah,
Bless him.
I can imagine. That was the one and only time I ever did VR, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know if this is for me."
So my biggest issue with PlayStation VR is they made a second version for the PlayStation 5. But if you've played or have a PlayStation VR and you've bought the games, they do not work for the PlayStation VR 2. They're not compatible.
That's dumb.
Yeah, and my favorite game on VR that I've ever played is Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, because it's a survival game of some sort. There's a storyline to it and everything, but it's a brand new storyline. You play as a character. You're trying to like get to a certain point. You got someone helping you with like a communication system, but you have to like walk around buildings and climb into buildings and walk around different towns and areas and collect items and craft weapons and fight people, but also walkers. And there's like literal times where if you want to get into a building, you've got to scale up a pipe and your window ledges and stuff. But as soon as you get into the building, all you can hear are the walkers. When you are staring into a pitch black room and all you hear is constantly, can I just say I freaked out a few times?
I can
oh
imagine.
my god, that was so creepy. But it was also really cool because it felt so real, grabbing a walker by the head, and you actually have to put a knife into their skull to kill it, and like you can feel like doing it yourself. It does feel really cool.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I definitely like to try it again.
Just don't play a racing game.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, I've kept you for like 2 hours, over 2 hours by this point. So thank you very much for coming on and entertaining me and having a chat with me. It'd be very cool to have you on again. Maybe one thing I like to do when I have someone on is if we find something that we both like are mutual over, we kind of like I do another episode with the person and we talk about that specific thing. So like I've had my friend Xander on. I interviewed him about all this stuff, but then he's come on a second time because we spoke about Naruto the entire episode.
Ooh.
We geeked out about stuff. So
Yeah,
I'll definitely
Naruto fan.
Well, I'm a huge Naruto fan, so it's something else we have in common.
There we go. We can definitely talk about that next time. I am
So, like,
definitely up for that.
So like I'll need you. Yeah, I was gonna say I'll have to come on. I'm happy for past guests to keep coming on and geeking about stuff. It's happened a few times. So like I'll definitely need to have you on again, and we can geek about something very like we'll dedicate a episode to something specific we can geek on. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you very much for coming on. If you want to kind of tell people where they can find you, your platforms and stuff, you can. Now's your time.
Yeah. Hey guys, again, Kenshibuilds here. You guys can find me on TikTok under Kenshibuilds and Instagram under Kenshibuilds.
Awesome. Yeah, people go check him out. He's a cool dude. And thank you everyone for listening. Of course, if you're listening on Spotify, give us a follow and rating, or however Spotify works. If you're listening on YouTube, subscribe, and of course, go check out Kenshibuilds. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you, bro. Thank you very much for coming on. I think you're one of the fastest setting up an episode ever. I mentioned it to you on the Discord, and then you're just like, "Hey, dude, when do you want me on?" I was like, "Whoa, okay, that was extremely quick." So, I appreciate you for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was fun. I really appreciated it.
Yeah. So thank you guys for listening. Of course, don't forget to roll with passion, everybody. I love you all, and we shall see you guys in the next one.
This podcast is a production of the Three Ranger Bros Studios in association with Zio to Hero, the podcast.